Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and TechAdvice.live video interview. I'm here at Lenovo Tech Day 2024 at the Shangri-La in Sydney, and I'm here with Vlad Rozanovich. He is the Senior Vice President of Lenovo's Infrastructure Solutions Group. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Alex. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate being here.
Now, thank you for taking the time. Now, as I said, we're here at Lenovo Tech Day 2024, which is being held on Wednesday, March the 7th at the Shangri-La. So what has today's event been all about?
Yeah, so Alex, one of the things that Lenovo does, and this is our second iteration of it, we put out what's called the CIO Playbook, where we interview over 900 IT decision makers and CIOs all across Asia Pacific on different trends they're seeing in the marketplace. And specifically, this one was all about AI, smarter AI, where it's heading, who are the decision makers, what are some of the trends and most important areas of investment that IT decision makers and CEOs are looking at from an IT perspective. So today here in Sydney, what we did is we disclosed what the playbook was all about, and we disclosed some of the data on some of those trends that we're seeing in the marketplace directly from those IT decision makers.
Yeah, look, I've seen some of the proceedings, and it's a full house, so clearly, you know, pretty excellent turnout. Now, a little later today, we'll be at the special media roundtable where you'll be unveiling the CIO playbook that you spoke about with the tagline, as you mentioned, that it's all about smarter AI. And I'll be filming that in full. People can watch that most likely in the same article that this video is in. But what does smarter AI mean? Not just for consumers, but businesses, now that we're well and truly into the generative AI era.
Yeah, well, Alex, you just hit it right there, right? You know, a year ago, prior to ChatGPT coming on into the market, most CEOs, most business leaders, they didn't really know what the capabilities of AI really were. And we saw this absolutely crazy transformation where business leaders said, you know what, this generative AI trend could help me either be more productive, more profitable, or more efficient. Now, that's a great goal for businesses to have. But what is the reality within the CIO or the IT decision makers of how do they need to look at that? Because there's key areas around generative AI that are very important. Number one is, you know, are you doing it in a responsible, ethical, and sustainable way? Number two, what are the business values you're actually trying to solve, which are probably the most important? Number three, are they aligned to the CEO or the president of the organization? And the other thing is what about the talent? The talent and the IT individuals required to actually build upon these generative AI environments and making sure your IT staff understands what to do and how to hold on to that staff. Those were all areas that were discussed in this CIO playbook that we discussed here at the event today.
Yeah. Now, the book itself, I've seen it. It's very detailed. We'll have a download location in the article. I mean, it's quite a thick book, you know, compared to some of the PDF brochures that you see. So there's tons of great information in there. And look, I know that this will be discussed in greater detail at the media roundtable. And obviously, as we've discussed, you've been showcasing it all here today. But what are some of those key challenges in 2024 that we need to look out for?
Yeah, it's interesting, Alex. One of the things you see is business leaders of organizations really do believe that generative AI should be implemented. It went from not even being on the radar a year ago to something that every business decision maker is saying is their top priority. However, on the flip side, CIOs are actually viewing generative AI as their number 4 priority because you still have to do things like security, management of data and information, cybersecurity enforcement and policies within the organization, business productivity, making sure that business productivity is something that as those plans have been put in place, get materialized. And number 4 was generative AI. However, there were some trends that we saw. For instance, 69% of people are saying, hey, this is going to be a transformative thing where we are looking at putting data center presence back on-prem. Because it's going to be an important part when you're thinking about latency and the amount of information, the amount of data that's being captured today, whether it's smart retail, smart banking, smart manufacturing. All those areas are where Lenovo has this pocket-to-cloud solution offering. However, it's really that data, where it's going to be manipulated, where it's going to be trained, where the retrain is going to take place, and where the inference is going to be. It really is creating this environment for, how should CIOs think about generative AI in their priority list for what they have to do for their organizations?
Yeah, I certainly have heard of people wanting to bring the cloud, AI instances back on premises because of data sovereignty.
Yes.
And also, I mean, this leads into how we can best instill trust
Yes.
in using AI in the workplace, especially when so many companies are warning certain staff not to enter information into ChatGPT because of, it can be reused to train other people, other companies. And even though they'll swear black and blue that doesn't happen, if it's out there, it's out there. If it's on-prem, then it's a much greater chance that it's going to stay there.
That's right, Alex. And so one of the things that Lenovo sees is there's really three versions of AI. There's personal foundational models, private foundational models, and public foundational models.
Yeah.
Now, if you're
Sounds like the cloud, right?
It really does. It is. It's this hybrid environment, right? Some things are going to be on-prem, some things are going to be in the cloud.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is that depending on the use case, maybe it's something like, I want to create chatbots for information or gather information and how to, entering into kind of a public AI model where you buy it from one of those big providers makes a lot of sense. However, now when you're starting to talk about things like your own IP, your own privacy, your own customer data, your own design cycles and manufacturing environments for how quickly you can get a product out to market, those are really things that need to be created in private AI models or private large language models where you don't want that information going outside the four walls. And then there's the extent where you have personal AI models. How do you make that information personal to each user? And so maybe that's something where if you're in the banking world, the organizations use your private AI data to give you recommendations, but you as the consumer only see your version of the personal AI. And so those are all areas that Lenovo is looking at: private, public, and personal foundational models, and that is really what's creating this whole hybrid AI environment.
And I'm just also thinking, as you're explaining all this, that, I mean, there will be AI that's used by the board and the CIO and the CEO and the executive team to help guide them make better decisions for the business at that, CXO level.
That's right.
Which is something that is beyond what the individual is using AI for at their desk as just an everyday worker.
100%. And those are some of those really private foundational models where making sure you understand what is your parameter set? What are your variables? One thing we're seeing today also, Alex, is this FOMO of we're just going to buy the biggest, baddest 8-way GPU-enabled systems. But then when you actually ask them, hey, what is your parameter set? How big are these language models? Are you really talking a large language model, or are you talking a small language model that could actually utilize something that may be not as intensive and actually save some money in the meantime? However, there is this FOMO where people are like, hey, I'm just going to buy the biggest, baddest thing that I can get because my CEO wants me to be ready for it.
I'm sure you'll tell them that they need the Vladdest, not the baddest, right?
That's right, exactly.
Now, given this is a business event, and I cover business as well as consumer technologies, what are the challenges faced by the CIOs, if we haven't already discussed it, in deploying AI? I think, I mean, you probably already spoke a little bit about this, but what do they say that there are the key business and investment priorities beyond what you've already told us?
Yeah, number one is budgets. Where's the budget coming from?
Yeah.
As part of the playbook, one of the things we have seen is that 45% of companies here in AP are saying that they are going to set aside money for AI. However, it's not incremental money. This money is coming at a cost. Are they deciding, I'm going to keep my client infrastructure, out there for another year before maybe I refresh it? Or am I going to pull back on some other priorities in order for this to happen? So the number one challenge we see is, what about those budgets? And, even though everyone's planning on spending money around AI, what is it coming at a cost of?
Yeah. I mean, Klarna, just quickly, Klarna said that they were going to sack 700 staff because they had this new AI. Now, I'm sure the staff aren't too happy about that, but, is that the right decision? Is it not? I mean, that's the challenge people are facing. Well, but keep going, sorry.
Yeah, and one of the things we also hear is, is AI going to affect people's jobs?
Yeah.
In fact, I've actually presented at a lot of universities and corporations, and I actually believe that because of better decision making, because of efficiency of process, you're actually going to have an opportunity to actually create new job opportunities out there.
Technology has always created new job opportunities.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the field of healthcare, for instance, radiology, there's only so many specialists that can detect things like pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
If you start utilizing generative AI now, the reality is it's going to create a boom for servicing that ailment, where you're going to need more healthcare, you're going to need more doctors, you may need more physician assistants. However, maybe radiologist positions, you're still going to need somebody to actually train that model with their intelligence. However, the reality is it actually creates this unbelievable opportunity for better healthcare for more people. And really, that's kind of a great use of technology.
Now, were there some other challenges you wanted to mention? Because I interrupted you, which I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. No, one of the challenges we see is what are the business directives versus the CIO directives. I view that as probably the biggest challenge. CIOs have to understand what is the goal, what is the use case, and they have to talk about it with their business leaders. Because setting the priority is something where you're not going to start chasing something that's fictional. What wants to be, what are you trying to accomplish? How are you trying to accomplish it? And then actually activating the CIO and the IT organization to say, here is how the CIO will help the business priorities of a firm.
Now, there's also a lot of talk about AI at the edge. Now, just for those who are wondering, what does that mean and why is that important?
Yeah, great idea, or great statement. So AI at the edge can mean multiple things. Maybe you're in smart retail.
Yeah.
For instance, you walk into a store and they recognize you, you're a frequent shopper, and they know that maybe that particular clothing brand is on sale. So actually create things like predictive marketing capabilities where it says, hey, you know what, your favorite brand of shirt is on sale. Why don't you go check it out?
And we saw that in Minority Report where Tom Cruise walks in and he's got the eyes of the Japanese guy. I mean, so the sci-fi is becoming science fact.
Yeah, and so and the thing about Edge AI, again, it's all about efficiency. It's all about where the data resides. You don't want those you don't want that application set to go to the cloud, be inferenced, come back. That takes money, it takes latency. And so what we're seeing is in certain fields, Edge AI is actually something that's really taking off. And like I said, things like fast food, retail, smart manufacturing, smart healthcare, those are all areas where Edge AI is actually going to make a bigger impact because you know what? It's all about those data set sizes. The public cloud is great when you have trillions and trillions of variables, but if you have a very focused subset of your customer base or what you're trying to do with your manufacturing environment, those are areas where Edge AI actually makes a lot of sense.
And of course, it's something that Lenovo can supply because of all the different products and services that you offer.
That's right. Today, Alex, we have over 80 platforms that are designed around the AI environment. And in fact, we've also engaged with over 160 ISVs around what we call our AI Innovators program that actually brings innovative AI solutions to that data. So for one of the things that we've talked about is in the smart retail environment, things like theft detection at self-checkout kiosks. We've partnered up with some ISVs like Everseen, where it's their AI, their training, or their models and their inference that actually can help speed up retailers on theft detection to avoid skimming and to avoid those areas where retailers may lose money. So those are areas where we've invested in AI innovators, we've invested in those ISVs, and we're bringing more of the solutions to market alongside all of the data center products we offer. The other thing that we see, Alex, is all this data is also creating a massive need for storage.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Lenovo is actually the #1 storage provider out there for price bands below $25,000. And so we've actually seen a boom in our storage business because of this AI revolution we're seeing.
So at the Media Roundtable, you'll be launching the CIO Technology Playbook, and we've effectively been talking about most of those issues already. But what else do we need to know about the report, and where can people get their own copy?
Yeah, so a couple places you can get your own copy. #1 is on the Lenovo website. There will be areas to get it. Anybody who's here at the event, or we hope also through you, Alex, that you'll be able to get our QR code out there so people can actually go ahead and download that playbook. So, some of the things that we're also going to see within this CIO playbook is, it's that difference between business decision maker, IT decision maker. It's also the trends that we're seeing in certain vertical markets. So in the CIO playbook, you will see things like banking and financial services trends versus healthcare trends versus manufacturing trends. So for instance, within healthcare, the appetite for adopting AI is a little bit more conservative, because you have all these regulations in place, you have compliancy regulations in place. And so people want to make sure that they really do this in a sensible and sustainable way, an ethical way, before they make some of the investments. And so within the playbook, there's 5 vertical markets that we cover, and you can actually see, depending on the vertical market that's most interesting to you, how fast other IT decision makers are saying that they are going to play in this AI field, how they view it as a game changer, how they view it as hygiene, or how they view it as a distraction today.
Sure. Well, as we're recording, there is no QR code on your left, but I will be placing one. And so if people are wondering what that is, well, it'll be saying underneath it, CIO Technology Playbook from Lenovo. So it should be obvious, but that's where you can get it, and it'll be at the site as well.
Good.
So what else do we need to know about AI and Lenovo in 2024? And we've got plenty more of 2024 to go.
Yeah, and so some of the things, Alex, is Lenovo is investing heavily in AI. We've invested over $2 billion of R&D into AI up until now.
Yeah.
We've also made the statement that we're going to invest $1 billion more. $100 million of that is going to be to continue to invest in those ISV software partners around our AI Innovators program. So the investment for Lenovo is going to get deeper. It's going to get wider. We don't view this as a as a bubble.
It's a one and done. Yeah.
This
is continuous.
That's right. AI is not going to be a bubble. People are acting on it now. They're getting more productive. They're getting more efficient. They're getting more profitable. And as long as you can keep that going, this is going to be something that we need to make sure we design our entire company portfolio around. So it's not just AI in the data center space. One of the things we've also announced recently is AI PCs.
Yeah.
And so really that's kind of where you talk about that personal foundational model and how it's going to have an impact for consumers and individuals as well.
Sure. Now, a couple of personal questions. I always like to ask if you could please share a memory of your first personal computer from all those years ago.
Sure. Yeah. No. The TI 994A was the first PC that I had.
Instruments. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And I remember when they offered an emulation mode to actually go to IBM.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the key things that actually first got me hooked on x86 so many years ago. I used to program in BASIC and all these other things, and it all started with that first Texas Instrument computer.
And here you are working for the spiritual successor of IBM all those years later.
That's right. It's a kind of a circle of life moment.
Yeah. And my second last question is to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've ever received in life to help you get where you are today.
Yeah. There's a couple things. One of the things I live by is treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That's
golden rule.
Yeah, it really is, and that's something that my mom instilled with me very early on, and so it's something I don't forget. No matter who it is within the organization, whether it's a customer, you always have to treat people with respect, and so it's worked well for my career. And the other thing I would say is, always be inquisitive, always be willing to learn, taking new opportunities, taking new chances. In my career, I've had the opportunity to do so many different things within the IT and the computer field. And what's amazing is it's because I always said, hey, what's possible? And one thing we always know about IT is that it's always changing, it's always going to add value, and it's one of the reasons that I've been in this field for as long as I have.
Yeah, anything's possible, and if it's not possible today, it'll be possible tomorrow.
You got it.
Which is, there's never Groundhog Day in tech, that's for sure.
That's right.
So what is your final message to the viewers and the readers today?
Yeah, well, I would say, hey, generative AI is not this bubble. It's something that you need to be ready for. It's something that so many corporations are now investigating. We think that this is going to be a major impact on productivity, efficiency, and most importantly, productivity and profitability within an organization. Yeah. That's an area that I want all of your viewers and readers to see.
Well, yeah, we're fighting with the audio from the very successful conference going next door. So look, congratulations on a great day. Looking forward to the media roundtable. I will be recording it all.
Wonderful.
But Vlad, thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Alice.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.